Okay, sixth aliyah from shoftiim, verse 14. You shall not pull back your neighbor's landmark, which the earlier ones have set as borders, and your inheritance, which you will inherit in the land your God gives you to possess. So you got to maintain your distance, like respect people's boundaries, literally. One witness shall not rise up against any person for any inequity or for any sin regarding any sin that he will sin. By the mouth of two witnesses or by the mouth of three witnesses shall the matter be confirmed. Can't just take one person's word, no matter who it is, even if it's the king. Seems like it doesn't make any conditions on this. If a false witness rises up against a man or a woman to bear perverted testimony against him or her, I'm adding the her part. Then the two men between them whom the controversy exists shall stand before the Lord, before the Kohanim and the judges who will be in those days. So we have to have judges in our time period, not judges from 2,000 years ago. We have to have current judges. And those judges shall, remember the whole thing in the very beginning, the very first aliyah was about setting up judges. So here we're coming around to it again. And the judges shall inquire thoroughly. You have to be thorough. And behold, the witness is a false witness. He has testified falsely against his brother. Then you shall do to him as he plotted to do to your brother. And thus you shall abolish evil from among you. So there's a whole tractate in the Mishnah and, of course, in the Talmud, which expands the Mishnayot, which explains this whole witness situation of what happens if the witness is a false witness. What are you supposed to do about it? So the psak din of the Torah is just whatever that false witness wanted to do, you're supposed to do to that person, to the false witness. So if the false witness wanted to do something and the punishment to me was death, then you're supposed to put him to death, I think. But what it comes out to be is like the Mishnah and the Talmud finds this really extensive argument that really in the end of the day, you're just going to give them lashes. You're going to end up whipping the person. Because there's certain things like so if you say about someone, let's say I say this about somebody, that person's not a Cohen, and I can't become a Cohen, so or he's not a Cohen, so they can't take away my kahuna. Like if I'm a Cohen and I say about somebody that they're not a kahuna, like the judges can't take away even though I wanted to take away somebody else's status as a Cohen, they can't take away my status as a Cohen. So even though the verse says that that's what the punishment would be, that's not really how it works out according to the rabbinical understanding of these verses. So bottom line is, so what do? They like to give the guy a little bit, they give the guy like some lashes to not do that kind of thing. Don't be a false witness, bottom line. Okay, verse 20. And those who remain shall listen in fear, and those who remain shall listen in fear, and they shall no longer continue to commit any sin, any such evil among you. You shall not have pity, life for life, eye for an eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot. Now, these are really, really famous verses, or infamous verses, and they're also said in Leviticus, book of the third book in the Torah also says these kinds of same things. But the rabbis always understood that this is supposed to be monetary. You're never supposed to, you can't really take an eye for an eye, because what if I'm a doctor, or what if I need my eyes or my profession? You can't take out my eye. Then it's not really an eye for an eye. It's not a tooth for a tooth and a hand for a hand and foot for a foot. So why does the Torah say it? Why does the Torah say it's so harif if it's not meant to be enacted? Because God wants you, the din, to understand that the din really is supposed to be serious. It's supposed to be it's all about nafachad, giving you this fear that really you should lose your foot if you take somebody's foot. That's really what should happen to you. We're not going to do that to you, but really that's actually what should actually happen. It should be equal. It should be this for that. It should be a mito for mito. It should be a scale. It should be a balance. I take somebody's foot, somebody should take my foot. That's how it really should be. But we don't do that because we have rachamim. We don't really do these verses. Nobody takes somebody's hand. It never happened in Judaism. When you go out to war against your enemies, and you see a horse and chariot of people more numerous than you shall not be afraid of them. For the Lord your God is with you, who brought you out of the land of Egypt. And it'll be when you approach the battle that the Kohen shall come near and speak to the people, and he shall say to them, Hear, O Israel, today you are approaching the battle against your enemies. Let your hearts not be faint. You shall not be afraid, and you shall not be alarmed, and you shall not be terrified because of them. For the Lord your God is one who will go with you to fight for you against your enemies to save you. And the officer shall speak to the people, saying, what man is there that has built a new house and has not yet inaugurated it? Let him go and return to his home, lest he die in war and another man inaugurate it. So this is how you get out of the army, right? This is how you can get out of your service if you just got married, if you just built a new house. Because a woman is considered like your house. It's really when you get a new. It's not just building a house. It's also when I think it means when you just got married. And what if you planted a vineyard and has not yet redeemed it, because you have to wait, I think, until the third year. You know, you can't just. So if you just planted a vineyard and you're waiting for the first fruit, in which you have to redeem in Israel, remember you have to give your first fruit. So if you haven't done that yet, you can get out of the army. You can also go. You can. He has a choice. I think he could actually go to the battle of these people, but they have the opportunity to get out before the battle. At least he die in war, and another man redeem it. And what man is there who is betrothed to a woman? Oh no, so the first one really is a house. So what man is engaged and he has not taken her? He hasn't been with his wife yet. Let him go and return to his house, lest he die in war, and another man take her. And the officers shall continue to speak to the people and say, what man there is fearful and faint-hearted? Let him go and return to his house. So he should not cause the heart of his brothers to melt as is his heart. So if you're really, 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 really scared of war, you're gonna that's gonna seep out. That's gonna carry out to your other guys in combat. And that's not such a good thing, because you don't want to be afraid when you're going to war. Now, of course, the verse said, "Don't be afraid," but okay, it's one thing to be told not to be afraid, but what if you really are afraid? So the Torah is saying, hey, you should go home. You shouldn't be in that battle. Even though you're supposed to believe in your heart that God's with you, so really it's saying your emunah is not really there. If you really have this fear in your heart, which is practical, it really happens, if you're really, really scared of going into battle, then don't go, because you're going to make other people scared. And it will be that when the officials finish speaking to the people, they shall appoint officers of the legions at the edges of the people. So that's verse 6.